Well, one of the most famous names in world racing is the Sangster name, and it's just fantastic to have Adam Sangster join us with our conversation series. Adam, great to see you, mate. How are you?
Oh, great to see you as well, Richo. It's an honour to be on the show. I'm pretty well, thanks.
You've survived the whole COVID, you and Soph and the family?
We have. We've been up at Swettenham and 8 weeks up there, a bit of homeschooling and doing the jobs on the farm and just doing a lot of things actually on the farm. We've had an amazing start to the season. The autumn break with the rain. I mean, it's just, you can just watch the grass grow in front of you.
Believe it or not, my dad's a tradesman, and as a tradie, he's passed it on to his son as the unhandiest man ever. I am hopeless. Was it a given with your dad's passion for racing that he was going to hand that over to you and you were going to work in the game?
No, not really. But I did. I've got to say, I had three older brothers, and they were both pretty keen on the industry. And actually, Dad used to take us all to Kentucky early doors. I think my first Kentucky sale I went to was in 1984. So I would have been it was 83. So so he took us there early, and it just you're right. I sort of had I enjoyed. My mother didn't want me to get into racing, and basically when I had my year off the gap year, I went to work in New Zealand for Sir Patrick Hogan, and then down in South Africa. And I came back, and I wanted to work for Timeform. Go up to Harrogate, in the middle of Yorkshire. Here I was a young 18, 19-year-old, just fresh out of school, prepared to give up a couple of years of my life. I basically had the interview with this gentleman called Phil Bull, and Phil Bull had this great grey bushy beard, and he was the founder of Timeform. He used to smoke these fat big stogies and all this, and he always used to wear these sort of three-piece suits, pinstripe black. And he sat at the end of it. I drove up there, sat at his desk, and basically he asked me these questions. And I promise you, Richard, I got myself in such confusion that he even asked what my father's race colours were, and I got them mixed up. So I remember being really upset, driving back home, and my mother said to me, "Listen, how did the interview go?" And I said, "Not too good." She said, "Well, I'd sort of set you up with an interview in the city, in the city of London." So I went to the city of London to work for James Capel, but I had the interview and basically explained it, how having an anti-post bet, because in the olden days before the computers with all that, it was open outcry. They gave me a job straight away, sort of selling to the Scottish institutions. But when that company invited me to Hong Kong to look after warrants in 1988, my mother turned around to me and said, "Remember that interview you had with Phil Bull?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "I actually knew him quite well. I phoned him up and told him not to give you the job." I sort of kissed her on both cheeks, and she always said to me, she said, "There's nothing worse than sitting at a table listening to a horse bore or a golf bore or a car bore." And he said, "All they can talk about is horses, booze, and sex." And she said, "I promise you, after 10 minutes, the booze and sex stories run out, and it's just horses. So widen your mind." And so that was great. I went to Hong Kong. Really, my father, he was going to reduce his operation purely because he had just married his third wife, and she didn't really like to travel to Australia. And I put my hand up and said, "Listen, let's expand the business." So, and he loved it. And I got to know my father so much, probably so much better, because he came down 3 times a year, and for the Easter sales, but mainly for the Flemington Carnival. I mean, he loved the Flemington Carnival. In fact, he has been quoted, and he was quoted, that it was the longest cocktail party in the world. So, and that was, and he loved it.
You mentioned horses, booze, and sex. I mean, your dad was pretty good at all of them. We'll leave the sex one to the side, but I believe that when he was at his absolute prime, I believe whether it be at Melbourne during Cup Week or at Royal Ascot in the box, that boy knew how to party with all his mates.
Oh, he did. He loved surrounding himself with good friends, and Ascot was great as well, because Ascot he had a really good box there, and it was a great time to entertain. And he just was, he enjoyed people being around him. But the business was pretty serious. But I mean, from a son's point of view, looking at him, he carried it off so well. I mean, he was so humble, and so he just never fretted. He never ever once raised his voice, and he was just a remarkable man. And he managed to, he had over 100 individual Group 1 winners around the world in 22 different countries. So, quite a record.
Melbourne's so unique, isn't it? Obviously, with the Melbourne Cup, and you've got the connection with your father winning the race way back in 1980. Do you have any recollections of the Belledale Ball win? You would have been too young, wouldn't you?
Oh, well, you're right. It was 1980. I would have been 15, 16. But see, my mother was very good. She at school, she didn't really like anybody taking the mickey out of anyone, because Dad was in the papers a lot. So she actually phoned up the headmaster and actually asked him to cut out a lot of the newspaper articles on father, if it were in the social pages or anywhere else. So we didn't get an idea of what Dad was, what he was doing, gallivanting around and sort of thing. I mean, obviously we had Sporting Life, which was a different sort of a newspaper. But the only time I knew that he'd won, because he'd actually forgot the headmaster cut out the social pages, Nigel Dempster, and there was a picture of Susan on the table belting out Waltzing Matilda. I think it was at Maxime's or something with Dad, and funny enough, her ex-husband Andrew Peacock round the table, and some wag said to me, he said, "Look, Sangster, there's your father. Look at this." And I said, "Who's that lady on there?" And someone turned around to me and said, "That's your new stepmother." So that was the first sort of time. And Dad, he laughed about it. And the Melbourne Cup in Belledale Ball, I mean, funny, he was just I've got his painting, a Stone Reese painting at my office in Racing Victoria. But the horse himself was, an American wanted to try and buy him and sat in the Hilton Hotel opposite the MCG now, I think, in the old days, and sat in the foyer there and just begged Dad to sell him the horse. And he said finally, after a week of a long cocktail party, Dad said, "Okay, here's a check. You fill in the figures." And the gentleman filled in, I think it was $500,000. And he said, "Listen, as I told you all the way through, this is a handicap. Even you can beat Jack Nicklaus at golf." And the first time we had a handicap, and the first time the horse ran in Hollywood Park there, the horse had crossed the line before this horse had even come around the turn. So carrying 49 kilos with John Letts on board, with front running ride, was a great thrill for the family. And still to this day, I'm taking the Melbourne Cup on Friday to Friday. We're opening up in Nagambie. Yeah. There is a wine bar there, and Jerry Ryan's bringing his cups there. But it's going to be a racing pub, and a lot of memorabilia in there. I put in the Golden Slipper, I put in the Newmarket, put in a few other ones. Lots of painting. Fun enough, all those jockeys are highlighted there, and we just Nagambie's a real region of sort of racing and obviously breeding, with all those big farms around there, and it's only an hour and a half up the road. So come and stay at Mitchelton.
Oh yeah, it's an unbelievable area, isn't it? Nagambie, you've touched on that. I mean, I suppose its most famous ever daughter is the mighty Black Caviar.
Oh, and of course, Amanda Elliott.
I was going to add that in next.
No, yes, exactly. Black Caviar. And that statue is amazing. I mean, it sits there on the foreshore. And Rick Jamison, when he drafted it with the draftsman, he basically, when you drive past it, it's actually life size, because he extended it by 10%. So from the car, when you drive past, she looks life size, and it's fantastic. It's just a great story. And and of course, this wine bar called Zephyrs, the whole highlight of it is all about Black Caviar.
When I think of Swettenham Stud at the moment, I'm so happy for you with so many different results that you've got. Firstly, let's concentrate on Toronado. He is remarkable. I mean, it's Royal Ascot week that we're recording this chat. He was brilliant, winning a Queen Anne. I mean, what he's done in Victoria, in fact, what he's done in Australia as a stallion, it's just brilliant, mate.
Oh, he really has, and he's on the up. Literally, the breeders have come through him certainly this year, and it's actually been quite a hard 2 weeks, because we've had to tell a number of people that they can't get into the stallion, and we don't want to be that farm who just takes on the mares when there won't be a place for him when they get served. So it has been, it's been hard, but my gosh, they're striking looking. Hong Kong's come for them, and really, a lot of colts have been sold up there, and he's got some very nice horses in the pipeline, and he's at Al Shakab. They own the horse, and they always said, "Listen, we haven't got any mares, but we'll put them at a price where breeders can make money." And they're making 9, 10, 11 times service fee consistently every year, And when you're paying that sort of money, 25,000, you can. There's a few puffs left from the cigar there, Richo. But trainers like them, breeders like them, and the bigger breeders have moved in. And as I say, he did get he's a very popular boy.
Yeah, and he's producing a lot of outstanding speed and milers. But one thing I love about Swettenham is you're giving an opportunity for the Australian breeders to say you can breed a Melbourne Cup winner, whether it be Poussin Staloon, American in the past and now at Daisy Hill, or even Highland Reel, a son of Galileo as a superstar. There you can breed some stayers.
And that's right. I mean, really, thank you for touching on that, because it's all about. So, I mean, Victoria has some of the greatest middle distance staying races in the country, and it sort of prides itself on that. So, as a farm, I've taken a sort of I've got to respect that and try and breed the horses for it, because there's a lot of horses which obviously get bought out of Europe, and that's trophy hunting, and it's sort of a little bit. If you own the horse, you don't really fall in love with them that much. You've got to see it as a foal. Well, the mating, and then the mare foaling down, and then seeing it at foal, and going out to yearling, breaking in, all that process. And so you actually sort of get the actual full journey of it, rather than just buying a horse, lobbing it down here, and next thing you see it come out of quarantine, it's in the mounting yard. So we've got a very close relationship with Coolmore, and certainly with Highland Reel. He was just a gun to have down here, son of Galileo, 7-time Group 1 winner. But really also Jerry Ryan, my neighbour and good friend with Mitchelton, and he obviously raced American with the Bamfords, and he purely raced Poussin Staloon, and son of Shamadal. I mean, Shamadal's just doing so much around the world, and his pedigree, Poussin, is going really well.
Yeah, they certainly are. And also from a marketing point of view, all you need to do is just play the last 400 metres at Flemington of the Queen Elizabeth when Poussin Staloon's 8 lengths in front and Glenn Boss is looking around and pointing at the horse. I mean, there's the marketing already there for you.
That's right. Don't worry. When we played that, he wanted something for it.
That'd be right.
Yeah, no, but he did say, I mean, I'm going to say Glenn Boss always said this horse lets down like a Newmarket horse. And that is where the speed comes from. So it's so exciting to have.
Yeah, and that property that you have, Swettenham, is just beautiful. Your house, is it still pink?
It is. Yes.
It is brilliant.
It is still pink, and the roses they still come out twice a year, and no, it is a great house, and it's we've had a lot of parties, a lot of entertainment there, and we're just we're just about to have school holidays, 3 weeks up there, and it's great fun.
Congratulations on everything you've done with Swettenham. You've carried on proudly the passion that your famous father had, mate, and fingers crossed we get to see those brilliant colours. Maybe a homebred from Swettenham winning a Melbourne Cup. Wouldn't that be something amazing?
Wouldn't that be good, Richo? And I tell you what, that's what I'm setting myself out to try and do. So it slowly does it, but hey, I'm young enough to give it a go. And but thank you for why not?
Yeah, why not?
Homebred, that's good. I like that.
That would be some party, mate. Can you put my name down?
Oh, well, you'll be all invited. You know that.
Hey, Adam, as always, mate. So superb to catch up.
Oh, you're a good man, and thank you, Richo, for what you've done. I've grown up sort of on this sort of platform, watching each other, and it's a credit to you what you've done, and thank you for making everything so entertaining.
Good on you. Thanks, mate.
Cheers, pal.